The story begins in the cold waters of Ireland. A fisherman named Syracuse is at sea doing his usual work. While pulling in his fishing net, something unexpected appears inside. A woman. Shocked, Syracuse rushes to her and radios for help, but no one responds. With no time to lose, he pulls her out and checks if she is alive. He immediately begins mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. After a tense moment, it works. The woman suddenly regains consciousness. Confused, she asks him why she is still alive, and Syracuse simply tells her the truth. He found her caught in his fishing net. He takes her inside the boat and insists she must go to a hospital, but she refuses, clearly not wanting anyone to see her. When Syracuse asks her name, she says something strange. She doesn't know. Thinking she may have lost her memory after being in the water, Syracuse continues sailing. Along the way, he suggests going to a hospital again, but she desperately begs him not to, so he decides to take her to a place where no one will find her. They arrive at the house of his late mother. Once inside, the woman tells him something unsettling. She believes she should be dead already. Syracuse offers her his lunch and then leaves to pick up his daughter, Annie. Annie suffers from kidney failure and has to undergo dialysis every week. At the clinic, while Annie receives treatment, Syracuse entertains her by telling her a story about a fisherman who worked at sea, until one day he caught a mysterious girl in his net. After finishing dialysis, the clinic gives Annie an electric wheelchair. Syracuse takes her to the home of his ex-wife, Maura, and her partner, Alex, where Annie stays most of the time. After dropping her off, Syracuse returns to his mother's house. The woman is still there. Later, both return to the sea to fish together. While on the water, she finally suggests a name for herself. She says he can call her Ondine, which means woman of the water. Syracuse sets several traps, hoping to catch something, but nothing happens. Then suddenly, Ondine begins to sing in a strange and unknown language. Moments latte. Syracuse starts pulling up the traps, and, to his surprise, they are full of lobsters. He laughs and says it must be her singing that brings him luck. Before leaving, Syracuse returns a couple of lobsters to the ocean, explaining that he is saving them for a rainy day. Afterward, they both get into his car. Syracuse tells Ondine that, since she helped him catch so many lobsters, he plans to share the money with her. But Ondine quickly reminds him that she doesn't want anyone to see her, and having said that, she leaves. Syracuse goes to sell the lobsters and, with the money earned, buys Ondine a dress. As a thank you, in the store, he notices the clerk is distracted and discreetly steals some extra clothes for her. Later, he picks up Annie again, who challenges him to a race in her electric wheelchair. As they move along the road, Syracuse continues the story he started earlier about the fisherman and the mysterious woman who sang on his boat. Annie suggests something surprising. Maybe the woman isn't human at all. Maybe she's a seal woman. Syracuse leaves Annie at home, but she can't stop thinking about her father's story. Her curiosity grows more and more. Meanwhile, Syracuse returns to Ondine and hands her the clothes he bought. Grateful, she gives him a kiss on the cheek. Syracuse asks her how long she plans to stay in the house, and her answer is simple. It's up to him. Without hesitation, he tells her she can stay forever if she wants. But nearby, Annie watches everything in secret from a distance. Now she's sure her father is hiding something. Determined to find answers, Annie goes to the library to research stories about seal people. At the same time, Syracuse goes to church and confesses to the priest how long he has been sober and admits to stealing clothes from a store. The priest is not happy, but when Syracuse explains that the clothes were for a woman he pulled from the sea, the priest becomes curious and asks him to keep him updated. Meanwhile, Annie continues researching the creatures known as selkies, mythical beings who can transform into humans. In the house, Ondine quietly cleans and tidies the place. Shortly after, Annie arrives at her grandmother's house to continue her investigation and finally meets Ondine face to face. Excited, Annie tells her that her father has already spoken about her and asks the question on her mind. Does she have magic powers? Ondine avoids answering, and instead, they formally introduce themselves. Then, Annie confidently tells her she already knows what she is, a selkie. Ondine simply goes along with it. Annie says that if they're going to be friends, Ondine must tell her the truth about her life as a seal, and she agrees to talk to the girl. Meanwhile, Syracuse is in the library asking for books about selkies, but the librarian tells him something funny. All the books have already been checked out by his daughter. Later, Annie meets up with some friends. They ask to try her wheelchair, but one of them accidentally launches it into the water, damaging it completely. With no other choice, Annie decides to take it to her mother's partner to have it fixed. Elsewhere, a mysterious man silently watches the ocean before suddenly leaving. Back at the docks, Syracuse invites Ondine to go fishing again and even asks her to steer the boat. But as soon as she notices a motorboat passing nearby, she gets scared. Syracuse tells her that steering with her foot probably won't work anyway, so she starts singing again. And once more, the fish appear. When Syracuse pulls in the net, he is stunned. It is full of salmon. This makes no sense because the type of net he uses shouldn't catch salmon at all. At that moment, the same motorboat approaches them, realizing they might be fishery guards. Syracuse tells Ondine to hide. The officers come aboard to inspect, and seeing the massive amount of salmon, become suspicious immediately. They are convinced Syracuse is using illegal methods. They search the boat, trying to figure out how he did it, and finally discover Ondine hiding. She calmly explains how they caught the fish. The guards don't fully believe her, but decide to leave. After their departure, Syracuse asks if she is okay, and she simply replies that she is not. Realizing she has already been seen, Syracuse suggests it's best to sell the salmon in town, since hiding no longer matters. So they go to the docks and sell the fish. Later, they meet Annie and go to a clothing store together. Annie excitedly helps Ondine choose clothes, and then asks her father in all seriousness, do selkies wear clothes? Syracuse just laughs at her imagination. The next day, Annie visits Ondine again, and during their chat, Ondine asks if she knows how to swim. Annie admits she doesn't, so Ondine offers to teach her, promising it will be relaxing. In the water, Ondine begins to teach her to swim, but during the practice, they discover something strange floating. Annie immediately reaches a conclusion. She believes it must be Ondine's seal skin. According to legend, if they bury it, Ondine can stay on land for 7 more years without having to return to the sea. Later, Syracuse, Annie, and Ondine go out on the boat to see the festival. Upon arriving, Annie continues to joke with Ondine, insisting she is a selkie, but she continues to deny it. Finally, Annie decides to put her theory to the test and, without warning, jumps into the water. Ondine immediately dives in after her and rescues her quickly. Excited, Annie tells her father that Ondine can breathe underwater. Later, Syracuse takes Annie back to Maura, who begins scolding him, accusing him of being careless. When he and Ondine return home, Syracuse opens up about his past. He reveals that both he and his ex-wife struggled with alcoholism for years. Eventually, he decided to stop drinking for Annie's sake, but Maura didn't like that change. Their relationship fell apart, and she kicked him out of the house. As the conversation becomes more emotional, Syracuse approaches Ondine, and they share a romantic moment. Afterward, he asks her how old she is, but she doesn't answer. Later, Syracuse returns to the church to confess. He tells the priest that Ondine has brought him incredible luck, but now he fears losing her, not just because of the luck, but because he is falling in love. Leaving the church, the mysterious man who is watching the sea approaches him and asks what name he gives to the woman who always accompanies him on the boat. Syracuse refuses to answer and leaves. He then accompanies Annie to her dialysis and takes her to Maura's house. But when they arrive, Maura and Alex are not there. While they look for the couple, the mysterious man heads to the house where Ondine is staying. As soon as she notices him, She panics and tries to flee. Syracuse and Annie finally find Maura, who asks him to leave Annie with her. When Syracuse returns to his house, he notices Ondine has disappeared. Worried, he searches for her everywhere until he finds her hiding under a small bridge. Ondine explains that mysterious man was looking for her. Trying to lighten the situation, Syracuse jokingly tells her to make a wish for the man to disappear, since, according to legend, selkies grant wishes. But Ondine responds that if that happens, she will disappear too. She says she is tired, and Syracuse carries her home in his arms. Meanwhile, Maura leaves in a van while drunk with Alex inside. While driving, they suddenly crash into the mysterious man, causing a serious accident. Shortly after, Syracuse and Ondine pass by the same road, see the wreckage, and realize Annie is involved. Syracuse rushes to the hospital, and when Annie wakes up, he admits he doesn't know what happened. Shortly after, a doctor gives him devastating news. Alex has died in the accident. However, his kidney is compatible with Annie's. Because of this, the doctors decide to perform an immediate transplant to save her life. At the same time, Ondine goes to confront the injured man. He accuses her of speaking another language and demands she return home with him, but she refuses, saying she has a family there now. Later, Syracuse receives the good news that Annie's operation was a success. To him, it feels as if Ondine's wish has come true. The next day, they attend Alex's funeral. After the ceremony, Maura makes Syracuse an offer. He can have full custody of Annie, but only if he gets Ondine out of his life. Then, Maura invites him for a drink, and after years of sobriety, Syracuse gives in. That night, he leaves the bar and goes to see Ondine to tell her he will take her home the next day. The next day, Syracuse takes her to a remote lighthouse. Upon arriving, he begins to act aggressively toward her because of the alcohol. He tells her she will be safe there and returns to his boat to leave. Ondine notices and runs after him, but Syracuse says something painful, that she probably isn't even human, and that is why their relationship would never work. Then, he abandons her. Refusing to accept it, Ondine jumps into the sea and tries to swim after him. That night, Syracuse takes Annie to his house. She asks about Ondine, and he sadly tells her she had to leave, but Annie assures him she will return because she left something behind. Suddenly, a singer on a program performs the same song Ondine used to sing. Syracuse realizes the song is Icelandic and understands he made a terrible mistake. Filled with regret, he searches for Ondine and finally finds her weak and exhausted. He covers her to keep her warm, and Ondine finally tells him the truth. She is not a mythical creature, but a fugitive. Her real name is Joanna, and she was trafficking narcotics in Romania with a mysterious man, who was actually her husband. During an operation, he forced her to swim with drugs. She lost consciousness, and that was when Syracuse unknowingly rescued her. They return home only to find her husband waiting there. He threatens to kill her if she doesn't tell him where the drugs are. Syracuse attacks him, and a fight breaks out. An accomplice arrives and threatens Syracuse, so Joanna agrees to show them where the drugs are buried. They go to the place where Annie had buried the seaweed-covered object, but when they dig, it is no longer there. Annie explains that she moved it because she believed it was the selkie skin and reveals she hid it in the lobster traps. The husband and his partner rush into the water to recover the drugs, but Joanna remembers her husband cannot swim. Taking advantage of the moment, she pushes them both into the water. The man tries to grab the drugs instead of saving himself and drowns in seconds. Shortly after, the police arrive and take Ondine away in a patrol car. Days later, the priest tells Syracuse that it is likely she will be deported, but he refuses to accept it and decides to marry her, so she can obtain citizenship. In the end, Syracuse and Ondine marry and build a new life as a family together with Annie.